P.S. Acre.
Let's go.
This is just like you and me. We have Anna Hercules with us today. Thank you, Anna, for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, taking the trip across the country. You came from Virginia, Ben's little home state.
Fun fact, it's actually a commonwealth. It's not a state.
We're starting early today. But, so, Anna, you were in Virginia doing your Navy training. You had your 2 weeks you had to do.
Yes.
So what's that entail? What do you guys do during that weeks?
It depends. So this was my first one after graduation.
Okay.
So this was basically just like an introductory, how to like do all the paperwork that's involved, and it was pretty boring, honestly. Yeah. It was the most boring one that I'll have to do, I think. So, yeah, it was basically just like logging into websites, learning about like the benefits that we have and like resources that we have available to us, and then how to prove that to the Navy that we're doing our job, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty much it.
So did you, like, growing up, did you always want to be in the military or the Navy? Is it like a big dream of yours, or
No, not at all. So my brother is 2 years older than me, and he wanted to go to the Naval Academy kind of randomly. Like, he just decided in high school at one point that he wanted to go there. And then he also applied like as a backup to the Merchant Marine Academy, which is where he ended up going. And then I didn't want to go there either. But he kind of like pushed me to just apply. So he was telling me, just like make sure you know that this was your choice, that you didn't want to go. So he pushed me to apply, and then just like things kind of fell into place where I ended up wanting to go there. So I was kind of unsure too, but once I started there, I knew it was like where I was meant to be. So, there's ups and downs all the time, but I knew like when I was there, I was like, this is where God wants me to be right now. So.
Did he get you with the VA benefits?
No, no, I didn't really know anything about the benefits or anything. It was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to do really after high school. And from the Merchant Marine Academy, you have a lot of options. You can go active duty any branch, or you can like work in the shipping industry, which is what I ended up doing. And then there's like some other like niche things you can do from it, but those are the main ones.
Yeah, so you work on a ship.
Yes.
And you said you're gone like, 4 months out of the year, kind of how that works?
Yeah, it depends on the contract. It's usually like 3 or 4 months that you're away, and then you have about an equal amount of time on vacation, and then you go back out.
So what do you do there? So is it the big cargo ships, like the one that got stuck? I think it was like the Nile,
yeah,
whatever
the Suez, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
yeah, there's ships like that. So like there's like container ships. The last one I was on was a roll-on, roll-off. So those carry cars or trucks or tractors, stuff like that. Sometimes military vehicles. But yeah, they're big ships that people don't really like know about, and they kind of until the ship got stuck in the Suez, people kind of just forgot that that was an industry.
They are
that's really
massive.
important.
They're
Yeah,
huge ships.
Yep. So. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah,
what sort of places are you going to? Sorry, not to.
No, you're good.
It depends. So, the ship I was on last went to the Far East. So we went from the west coast of the U.S. to South Korea and Japan, and then back to the west coast.
How long did that take?
It took I was there like in the winter, so the weather is not as nice. So it was about 12 to 14 days across. And then we're there for a few days and then cross back.
So, like, I'm guessing you don't like going on vacations like on a cruise. Like, that's not something you probably do.
Yeah, I don't really desire to go on a cruise. No.
I wonder why. But so do you ever? So like I've been on like Lake Michigan. I just immediately get seasick.
I get seasick.
You really? And that's a huge. Oh, yeah. How do you deal with that? That sounds like horrible.
Well, I think it also depends on the ship, the way the ship rides. Because, I mean, some of them, like, when I was on container ships, I never got seasick on there. They were, like, they rode so smoothly, and they're so massive.
Waves don't really affect them.
Yeah, you don't really feel it. But on the one I was on, we had it like it was completely empty on the way to Korea, so it didn't ride very. Like they're not meant to be empty.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would get seasick, and usually it's like if I do get seasick, it's like 1 or 2 days, and then I get used to it,
Okay.
so it's bearable. But on that one, it just kept happening.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does Megalodon exist? Have you seen Megalodon?
You know, it could. I have not seen it, but I don't know. There's definitely like some crazy things in the ocean that no one knows about. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But
Don't they say like we know more about space than we do about the ocean? I think I saw that somewhere. I don't know how legitimate of a fact that is, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know how they can measure that because you can't measure space, but you can measure the ocean.
Yeah, I think
But-
it's just more of like we know more about even just planets that are light years away, literally.
Yeah.
Than we do about some like I know that they I don't know how they estimate these things. I'm not a scientist, but they estimate that like we haven't even discovered 20% of the ocean life that's out there.
Yeah, they do say that, and I think it's believable. I don't know.
It's crazy though.
It's just nuts. But so like as a Catholic, how do you balance like being like your Catholicism? Like I'm on a boat for 3 months, and you're 12 days or 14 days on the ship. I mean, Sundays come up. What do you do?
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Like, I usually don't have an opportunity to go to mass at all while I'm like gone for those months. Every once in a while, maybe I'll make it to mass once. So I'll do like I usually take a missal with me. So I'll do Sundays. I'll read through the readings and everything. Just kind of like have, the liturgy by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like I'll pray the rosary every day. I'll try and like make up for it in other places where I don't usually have time, that kind of thing. But it's kind of, I don't know. I've talked to a priest, like the first time I was going out, I talked to a priest about like taking communion with me, but it's kind of advised against because like something could happen to it. You can't really have it on you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, they don't really want you to take it with you, especially the ones who have been out to sea. But like being on the ocean in the middle of nowhere is something that most people don't experience. And that's just something that I think I'm so blessed to have, is like just seeing the vastness of everything and just like, I don't know how anyone can go out there and not believe in God. Honestly, I don't know how you could look at the night sky in the middle of the ocean and not believe in God.
Oh, I can't even imagine that. Because I wasn't even really thinking about I was just thinking about just seeing endless waves and just realizing how big the world is. But I totally forgot that, yeah, I mean, you're out there with literally no light pollution.
Yeah.
Just seeing the amount of stars that must be incredible.
Yeah, and even just like the wildlife is crazy. Like we'll just see whales and we'll see dolphins, and the dolphins are crazy. They do flips and everything. Like they look like they would be trained to do these things, and they just like to swim alongside the ship and like do flips or whatever. And jellyfish we'll see like from the ship. And my favorite is the like bioluminescence in the water. The
Oh,
like
man.
plankton that lights up
Yeah.
is really cool. It's just unbelievable when you see it, and it's so bright some nights. So
That stuff doesn't make sense. Like
So now you want to go on a cruise.
I've been on one cruise, but when I went to Jamaica for our honeymoon, we went to like this bioluminescent like lagoon area. It was really cool. You really couldn't see it like that bright. Like when they took a picture, you saw it, but like the water was like brackish. It was like the mixing between the two. I think there's all normal water, but there was so much sediment. Like it was disgusting. You smelled like trash.
Ew.
And it was like an event that night, so we like all the people that went there just smelled like garbage and they're all like dancing around. But it's really cool, like God exists. Like there's so much beauty in this world, and you just gotta take a second and look at it. We're us all engulfed in just looking at our phones or not doing anything. Just like go outside, look at the trees, look at the sky. It's there. But so go like with your ship life though. Like what's that? You said you work 12 hours. Is it 12 hours every single day? Like, do you have any like days off or?
yeah, it also kind of depends on the ship how much overtime so you'll always work eight hours. And a lot of ships will offer 3 or 4 hours overtime every day, and then a lot of ships will say like no overtime on Sundays. So I would never work overtime on Sunday just to like try and keep it,
Right.
holy.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the most part, it's 12 hours a day. Because the overtime, while it is offered, you kind of have to do it also to like get everything done. So it's not exactly optional.
Yeah, it's like
If that
here-
makes sense.
Yeah, it's like here's
That makes sense.
overtime.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it anyway.
Yeah. So like 8 hours of my day, because I'm on like I'm topside as we call it. I'm not in the engine room, so I'm like in the navigation side of the team, I
Okay.
guess you'd say. So for 8 hours, broken up like in half, is I'm on watch. So basically, I'll do the like adjusting. We're mostly on autopilot, but I'll adjust the autopilot. If we are steering by hand, then I'll be like in charge of giving directions. So we like watch for traffic, keep an eye on the weather, routing stuff.
Watch out for icebergs.
Yeah, icebergs.
I was waiting to
anything
see
else,
that.
land.
Yeah.
And basically like at night, especially if there are like alarms or anything, calling the right people, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then my 4 hours of overtime is in the position that I'm in now, which is like the lowest on the navigation side. My job is usually like all the safety inspections.
Okay.
So, and any maintenance that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to. It's absurd how frequently you have to inspect everything on the ship that's like for safety.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed since last month, but you have to do it anyway.
How big
So-
is the crew, typically?
It's like 20, 22 people.
Okay. I mean, it's a big ship, so I guess there's probably a lot of like just general areas to check out. Because the ships are what, 400 feet long, usually? Maybe longer. I don't know.
Yeah, we usually are in meters, but like, yeah.
Fair enough.
So, I think like 200 meters.
Okay, that's considerably larger than 400 feet then. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know exactly how much, but
yeah. We'll get that in American
Like
later.
about 3 times.
yeah, I think you're right.
approximately.
Yeah. So about 600 feet.
How's the dynamic of the crew? Like, is a lot of like, is it split decently even? Like male, females, a lot of older men.
No, yeah, it's mostly male. But it's like improving now. There are like more females getting into the industry, which is cool. My last ship I was on, there were a couple other females, and that was really nice. But I've been on 2 ships that had where I was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just kind of depends on the luck of the draw.
Right. How split is it in terms of like beliefs? Do you often find that you're with a lot of Christians? Because you said even from kind of your own experience, like you're seeing so many incredible things that it kind of just makes you just wonder about life a little bit more. Do you
Yeah.
think it's the same with a lot of other sailors that go out?
I don't know. Like, so I do think a lot of people, especially of the generation that are at sea, have come from some type of religion, but I don't know that many have held on to it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll come across some, especially, so there's like half the crew roughly is officers, and then the other half is, we call them unlicensed. So they're like closer to normal people, I guess. They didn't go to school for it, basically. And I find that like a lot more of them are religious.
Okay.
Sometimes there are like Muslims on board too, so the cook will have to like keep track of everyone's religious beliefs.
Right.
For like preparing food
Mhm.
like that. But I don't know. I haven't found a lot of like really strongly Christian people.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few, but far between.
You mentioned at Veni Vidi Vici, where we met, that the question that Jack asked was like, what does it take to have authentic Catholic community? And you said like just like one other person, and they kind of have like that closeness. Is there a story behind that? 'Cause you said it seems like you switch crews each time, but was there like a certain person or instance that you remember like this is like awesome, like a gift from God that you had that little bit of community?
Not exactly. So on one of my ships, it was during COVID, and so we weren't able to get off the ship. But someone from like they had like a seaman center who would like come bring gifts to the ship to like be kind, and a deacon came. And so he was like wearing the collar, so I thought he was a priest. So he came on board and I'm like, oh, are you a Catholic priest? Like I was hoping maybe he brought communion or I could like go to confession or something. And he's like, oh, I'm a deacon. So, but then he like prayed with me, and I just started crying. It was my first ship too. So I like really miss my family. But even like, I mean, for the question of authentic Catholic community, yeah, they would have to be Catholic. But I think to have like authentic like Christian community, yeah, having one other person is all you need, because you can have conversations with one person and that can be like enough of a like something to hold on to. I think
we've said it a few times on this podcast. Sometimes you just need one thing, right? Like you just need sort of one testimony. And it's kind of cool that you just mentioned that was your first trip that you had ever gone on, right? Or not that you'd ever gone on, but first ships wise, right?
Yeah.
For work. And there was a deacon that was there, which is just so cool. It's sort of like almost a testament of God saying, don't worry, you're on this new journey, but I'm still sticking here with you. Is that how it kind of felt for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was really nice. And then that same deacon, he's like reached out to me a few times. I have him on Facebook, so like reach out and be like, hey, like, we want like sailors to do this thing. And so I'm like, I did a reading one time and like sent it in to, they were in England.
Okay, I was gonna ask where he was from. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Crazy.
Okay, yeah.
That's intense. I couldn't imagine like that discipline of being on a ship for like 14 days straight and sticking to that kind of schedule and being out at sea. I couldn't do it. But I mean, it's giving you the ability to travel a lot. And you said a little bit when we talked before that you were able to like get like maybe a little bit of time off to go like see where you're at a little bit.
Yeah, as with most of the answers to the questions, it depends.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was really lucky on the last ship I was on that went to Korea. I got to get off a lot. The crew was really, like, they all wanted to get off. So it was really friendly for like, oh, yeah, get off if you want to. Like, who cares if you're sleep deprived tomorrow? So I did get off a lot during that. But it also just depends because, like, the container ships, they work containers a lot faster, so we're not in port as long. But with the cars, like, they have to drive each individual car off the ship.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll like stop at night. Like in Korea, they stopped at night, so they wouldn't work 24 hours. So we would be in port overnight easily. So
that's crazy. So I know you do like to travel though a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the, like your favorite places you've gone?
Like off the ship or on the ship?
Like off the ship. Like just we'll try to like steer away from the ship a little bit now, and then we'll get into who you are.
Yeah. So the most recent trip I went on was the most impactful for sure. I went to the Holy Land with the guys from the Crunch, which I mentioned before. And also when I was a kid, we went to Italy. My family went to Italy. That was really, really cool. Would like to go back there again when I can remember more. Yeah, I think those are the big two.
Let's talk about the Holy Land. How did that come about?
So, I listened to the Crunch since like COVID, so since 2020, and they announced like maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that they were gonna do a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. And so I looked it up, thinking I don't know about this. All my family travel a lot, and no one has been there. So I thought, no big deal. Maybe I don't need to go there. But I looked it up, and it was 1 month after graduation. So I was like, this is kind of perfect timing. Like, I know that I won't get on a ship right away. I'll just wait 1 month and then start work. And so I kind of mentioned it to some friends and was like, does anyone want to go on this? And no one was really interested. So I mentioned it to my parents and like, what do you guys think about this? And they didn't oppose it. So I was like, okay. And I wrote a check. And then like when it was coming up, I was getting really nervous. I was like, I don't know about this, because I opted to like save some money and be paired with a random roommate. And I was like, I don't know about this. Like, what if they're weird?
Yeah.
Like, and even the group, I didn't know how big the group would be. And I had been listening to The Crunch for a couple years and didn't know them. I was like, what if they're not what I think? And then I don't want to listen to their podcast anymore, So I was like pretty nervous. And I did not do any research about the Holy Land. I looked at the itinerary like once, and it seemed to be a trend on like pretty much everyone on the trip that there may have been a few people that like studied the itinerary, but no one really like looked at it that closely, which worked out well because a lot of it got changed around.
Oh,
and
nice.
Our tour guide was just phenomenal, and we just fully trusted him. We were like, take us anywhere, And so he got us in some extra places, which was awesome. It was in the off season, so it was super hot, but there were like no lines. So we got in places a lot faster, I guess. From talking to people who have been there, they're like, oh, you had to wait so long at this one place. No. I think we waited for one group to finish up, and then we went in. Like, it was pretty cool. And we got to pray in some churches where I guess you don't usually get to do that. You get to like go in, look around, and leave. So, but we would like try and pray anywhere we could,
Yeah.
Sing some songs.
Did you get to go to, I don't know if this is real or not, but I think it's the River Jordan they have, or what is the sea that Jesus walked on? What's that called?
Sea of Galilee.
Thank you, the Sea of Galilee. Don't they have like a pier that's just underneath the water that you can like walk on? So like it looks like you're walking on water, but really there's just a pier that's right underneath the water.
I would say that's likely, but we didn't do that.
Okay.
But we did go out on the Sea of Galilee in a boat.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And then they showed us how the fishermen would have fished back then, like throw the net over the side and stuff like that.
How many people were there?
I think it was like 30.
Okay.
Wow.
That's actually a really decent group.
It was, I think it was like the right size because we all got to know each other. It wasn't too big, but I also was like, if you get tired of people, you could like go meander with the other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's, like break it up a little bit.
Yeah, mix it up.
Wow, the Crunch podcast really got it going on.
Yeah, that's a lot of people for a pilgrimage. It's actually a huge amount. Like, because I've been on pilgrimages before, and for like church groups and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough to go to World Youth Day in 2016 in Poland, which was a fantastic experience, not experiment. I think in both of those groups, I don't think we got over, I want to say 15, 20 people. And even that felt like it was, honestly, I mean, I was in high school both times too. So 15 high schoolers is kind of it's a bit much.
It's a tall order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 adults might be a little bit different.
Yeah, and it was a really mixed bag of people too. There were a few adults. It was supposed to be like a young adult pilgrimage. But there were like a few actual adults, we'll say. From the Crunch, Patrick's parents went.
Okay.
And then there was also this one other lady who came. She like just happened to find this pilgrimage online and signed up. I think her daughter was living in Israel or something, so she was like, "Oh, let me like go hop on this hop on this pilgrimage." Yeah, but
was it all people that were? I'm sorry, not to go. Was it all people from the Crunchcast?
Everyone everyone except for I think 2 people listened to the Crunch, maybe 3. Yeah, and we had a priest with us too the whole trip.
Okay.
So so we had mass every day with him.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Dude, we should do a pilgrimage for the podcast. We'll take everyone to St. Sebastian's. We'll go from the parking lot to Z Hall. We'll have pizza party. That's what we'll do. That's at our capabilities right now.
We go to Wisconsin.
But then we gotta get like coordinate. Like that's far.
It's only 10 hours to the shrine. I don't know if you know, there's an apparition site in
I have heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my family is from Wisconsin originally, so we typically go there every single year. And I'm lucky enough that where the apparition site is about 20 minutes away from where my parents grew up.
Oh my
So
God.
every single time we go there, we're able to go to this apparition site, and it's just a beautiful place. It's extremely cool. But we've been talking for a little while, not you and I, but some people that I know, about trying to get people up there.
We totally do it. Have you heard of the Road to Wise House down in?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. That's an easy pilgrimage too. That's right at our back door. I've actually been trying to get people to go there.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked to Father Valacek. He hasn't been there yet, and I keep reminding him, and he's like, "Oh, I'll do it." he forgets. He's a busy man, but he should go down. Everyone in this area should go down to the road to White before. I think she's like a blessed or something like that right now. Like she's
so.
like she's along the process. I don't think the second step. I don't know what it's called. So someone
Venerable?
Yeah, maybe someone could fact check me. I don't know.
Venerable or blessed.
Yeah, I mean blessed, but you have the ability to like see and touch most of the things there. And like there's a Eucharistic miracle there, and like Jesus appeared there multiple occasions, and he sat down in a chair. And you can sit down in that chair.
Yeah.
There's not every day you can sit down in a chair that Jesus literally sat in. Like that's crazy.
That must have been what it was like for you when you're just kind of walking around Jerusalem and being on the Sea of Galilee. Like you're just kind of realizing, oh, crap, 2,000 years ago, Jesus was right here.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to I know they have a church right where he was buried, right? Or where they kind of alleged it was?
So, so the Holy Sepulchre is the church. It's a massive building. And then inside is Golgotha is inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of down the stairs and around the corner is the tomb. So we actually had mass inside the tomb, which was crazy. It was so small, but it was definitely an experience. And that was on the last day. So that day we woke up really early and we did the Stations of the Cross. So we carried a cross through the streets of Jerusalem and did the Stations of the Cross. And then went inside the church. We saw Golgotha and then had mass in the tomb. Yeah. It was all like that. Like the whole trip was just, everything was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things again where I imagine it's probably relatively similar to being on the ocean, right? Almost everywhere that you look, there's a new thing that's just sort of just incredible, like awe-inspiring. Like I know for me, for example, when I went to Rome, I thought that it was really cool that, and this is, our experience in America is a very secular kind of modern society, right? When you go to Europe and anywhere that's over there on the, eastern hemisphere of the world, everything's so old. And there's so much history and authority behind it. I haven't been lucky enough to go to the Holy Land, but in Rome, I remember the feeling was you looked at a building and you're like, wow, that thing is from 1200. That church right there, it's just a little bit hole in the wall. It's got gold on the ceiling. It's incredibly beautiful. It was like, and everywhere you looked, it was like that, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's probably relatively similar in the Holy Land, right?
Yeah, definitely. And in the Holy Land, they have ruins from like the 1st century. So there's like multiple places where like, okay, this is actually like Jesus walked here,
Mm-hmm.
And we went to there's like ruins of a synagogue in Capernaum where Jesus preached, like John 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went in there and they had rebuilt the synagogue around the original ruins, but like the base level is from the 1st century. So that's like the floor basically is where Jesus was.
I would have been just crying the whole time.
I was.
Yeah,
I cried every day.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like there's only so much like emotions a human can handle, and when you're like you can come into connection like with the living God in the Holy Land, it's just too much. It's just tears just going.
Yeah, and we were really blessed to have the tour guide we had and the priest we had just really brought everything full circle. If you ever go, I would definitely recommend having a tour guide. Don't like try and do the research on your own probably, because I think you'll miss stuff, at least on the first time.
Right.
But
that's what I've heard too. And I've always heard that you should go with a group. And not for safety, but just because like when you're with other people, you can sense the awe that's also coming from them, and it kind of rubs off on you as well.
Yeah.
You get a group awe.
I also think we would debrief the day every day. Like at the end, we would like go to the hotel bar, have a drink, and the Crunch guys would do a live podcast. So every day they would like go through every single thing that we did, and then we would all laugh and like joke about it, and then we would all talk about our like what was I thinking about during this? What were you thinking about during this? And everyone had such different perspectives on everything that it brought so much more to the table. So that's the other thing, is if you do go with a group, like make sure you talk about everything that you did, because if you just get on the bus, like do your journaling, like take your notes so that you remember it, but then like talk to the other people because you'll miss out on like all these other things. If you're focused on one thing when you go there, you're praying for the one thing, or like there's one thing that like is like grasping your heart or whatever, you'll miss out on like the things that other people are thinking about that maybe you'll go through later in life that you'll want to have like in the back of your mind. So
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good advice. Because like I mean, everyone has different eyes. We're looking at different things, and people, like you said, people like to see things differently. But so they did that live podcast. That's ballsy of them. That's awesome that they're able to do that. That's our goal one day. Do a podcast outside of the basement.
We're not there yet.
no, one day. But so were you on that podcast at all, or is this the first one you've been on?
I was on I was on their podcast, but it was like a Patreon episode, so you have to pay for it.
Well, so sorry guys, we'll not pay for it.
Yeah.
But hey, this is our first.
We're
guest
also
that's
not there yet.
This is our first guest that's already been on a podcast before, so we're moving up.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Is it? No. Rocco was on a podcast.
Was he on a podcast?
Yeah, he said he was on the Cleveland pro-life thingy. What's it called? The group up in Cleveland. Wait, you can't talk. I don't know. I'm looking at you.
Ryan can talk. Ryan can talk. Sign language. We gotta teach him
Yeah,
sign language.
Yeah.
Okay, second guess. I apologize. But yeah, that's really cool that they're able to do that. And then go on a trip. So was it mostly younger people, or you said like there's a couple adults?
Yeah, it was mostly like 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people from Franciscan.
A couple.
Okay.
Well, no.
There's always at least one from Franciscan.
I don't remember.
They're kind of impossible.
I
to
mean,
Yeah.
one of the Ethan's from.
I think they might both.
No.
No, just the one.
Just the one, but I don't remember which one.
Yeah.
see.
You can,
I
hey,
can never
comment. Let us know
I can
which
never
one
remember.
of you went to there.
Yeah.
I try to comment on one of their things, try to say like, hey, you should watch our podcast. I actually joined their Discord, and then I linked the podcast just one time. Then I'm like, no, I can't do this. I'm a fan. And I also feel bad, just in case one day, hopefully we meet them. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you were the guy that was spamming the Discord. It's like, no, me. What are you talking about? No.
Are they in Ohio?
I thought one was in Steubenville.
He was, but not anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Now one lives in Florida and one lives in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, I know he's in Orlando.
Fair
I think he
enough.
might be in Orlando because I think John Donahue, the truth charting guy,
Yeah.
he's over there in Orlando.
Do you know John Donahue?
I don't know him, but I know
Okay.
of him, yeah.
Right.
Dude, John Donahue's fantastic. I had to email him. Dude, I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's helped us a little bit with the podcast and kind of getting content out there and figuring things out. Do you ever heard of Catholic Family Land?
I've heard of it.
It's fantastic. I mean, that's where I met him. I remember when he started, he was like freshman, sophomore in high school, this big camera walking around like taking pictures and videos, and we're all like, dude, what is this guy? Because that's before, like, now everyone's like taking pictures doing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit more normal. But like, when you have like a little kid with a huge camera, you're like,
Okay.
okay. And he had business cards he was handing out to people. Like it was like, looking back, it's so adorable. But now he's like,
He's legit.
yeah,
He's
he's
doing
like,
stuff,
he
yeah.
goes to Seek. I think he's a Focus missionary or something like that. And then he also has a contract with Ascension Press.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's goals. Like,
Yeah.
one day. Actually got to kind of interview Father Gregory Pine from Ascension Press.
Okay.
He's a Dominican. They did he had a speech at the Borromeo Seminary in Cleveland,
Okay.
and he was like, I meet and greet afterwards, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. Like, I didn't want to do it. My camera guy Ken shout out. He's like, dude, you're gonna regret it if you just don't ask him a question. And I remember asking him a question, and then I just like feel like I blacked out. Like, I was like starstruck. Like, the dude's on Pints Aquinas like all of the time,
Yeah, he's got his own show on.
and he's like way too smart for me.
Yeah.
Like, have to talk to them. Like, okay.
Do you know of him or?
I don't know of him,
So
actually.
he's like you said, he's on Pines with Aquinas. He's kind of a recurring guest on there. He's also a big author. Just a really, really smart guy. Kind of relatively well-known Dominican. So my family knows a lot of Dominicans. My professor in school used to be in the Dominican house in D.C. and he was studying to become a Dominican. He ended up not, and he became a priest for the Diocese of Boston. But my dad and I went to the ordination mass just to, go be there and see it. And at the kind of luncheon that was afterwards, there was a lot of Dominicans that were there. And I was talking to them because I listened to Father Gregory Pine all the time. And we were talking to this one guy who's really, really good friends, was like his roommate in school. And I told him, yeah, I love Father Chris Pine. And he's
Oh.
like, Father Chris
Yeah.
who? It's like, Father Chris Pine. He's like the best Dominican out there. He's like, you mean Father Gregory? And I probably told Father Chris Pine that I said that. So that was funny.
That's awesome. Dude, he's so tall.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a tall guy.
He's insanely tall. When you see him on the podcast, like, you can't tell how tall they are. I was like, like a little kid. But it's fantastic. But how's your time back been? How are you enjoying, like, Veni Vidi Vici?
Oh yeah, it's good. I'm glad that I found it. I was trying to find some kind of young adult group for a while. Just look like I would just think of churches around here and go on their website, try and find if they have a young adult group, and I was just striking out. And then my friend Becca found this one, and then so I've been going. Been trying to like make myself known there so that when I leave for a few months, then I can come back and like people still know who I am.
Yes.
Who's this
You know
girl?
what I mean? Yeah, it's good. Definitely, that was what I was looking for. So
Mhm.
I'm happy with that.
That's been one of the really cool things about starting this podcast was just as soon as you start putting stuff out there, like in your experience as well, when you start putting feelers out there just about trying to find general Catholic community or whatever, you get kind of surprised by the response. Like there's so much more Catholic community out there than you kind of realize, right? Like there's a lot of people at Veni Vidi Vici, and I know they have like 60 people on that email list now.
Yeah, it's
We were there at the first day meeting when they had like 5 people there.
yeah,
and-
it's so funny.
Yeah, now it's like really starting to grow, and the same thing with this podcast. Like, you know, we just kind of started to start it, and now it's kind of taken off, and we've had a lot of really good Catholic people reach out to us as a result of it. So
Yeah, it's
really cool.
Yeah, it's our first month that we actually had like guests lined up,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. But the cool thing with Veni Vidi Vici is Jack said this, and I'm so proud of Jack for like starting this thing and just taking that leap of faith. But anybody new can come into Veni Vidi Vici and just feel at home. Like you don't have to worry about like, okay, I'm a new person in a new group. Like someone going to talk to me, I'm going to sit in the corner, be that weird person. It's just no, like you're there, your family just immediately. And there's so many different kind of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like so interesting, and it's fun because it gets you out of your comfort zone a little bit. Because we tend to like comfort, so we like to talk to people like, okay, so this person's like more like go they lift, like, I'm gonna talk to them, or like some more into like theologies, like I'll talk to them. But no, everyone talks with each other,
Mhm.
and he whatever magic. I mean, God, it's God. It's God that God is there, and He's just given everyone the ability to talk to everybody and have that awesome community. I'm so excited to see where that grows. I'm shocked how big it was because it was small for a long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was me, Ben, Chris, Nora, and like Jack, and maybe like 2 other people. And so it's like everyone like was related, like half people were related there. And Jack was like super nervous trying out his thing. And I remember he'd like give us a talk, and he's like nervous, like learning how to talk. And we're sitting there like, okay, I feel really bad because we were not good. Like I don't call it this, maybe just guests there.
Listeners.
Yeah, listeners, because we were playing a 3D chess, which means as he's talking, we would just move objects and look at the other person. I'd be like,
You
and
just
then Ben
try to
would
get the other person to laugh.
yeah. And so we were going hard. And then Nora like wasn't paying attention and then looked and saw what we were doing and like tried to hold in laughter. But when you do it for so long, you just can't, and it's worse. And she did that and had to walk out as Jack's talking, and you could tell like he was like a little upset, like Barry's. Like, and I felt so bad. I have not done it since. Sorry, Jack. But it's been fantastic to be able to do.
Yeah, I was surprised too to find out that a lot of people from Veni Vidi Vici aren't from St. Sebastian. So once I found that out, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one that just like found this group, and then it just started coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's expanding everywhere because it's just such a needed thing.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Catholic community, it's so difficult to find people that are like-minded, that have the same values, and you feel comfortable and like safe with, that you can just have a conversation, not going to get judged.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to like crucify you for saying something weird. It's just like we're just having fun. I mean, I think the last time you were there, you guys were playing hack and just and end up kicking like tables and chairs because like some people weren't the most coordinated and they didn't realize, oh yeah, there's a table right there.
Yeah, and I think just like most churches will have a youth group for high school, and then you go to college, or you don't go to college, but you But usually I have like some Catholic friends still, either from high school or from college. And then after college, like, what do you do now?
Right.
There's like for me, I went back home and I'm like, all right, I don't really have any friends here anymore. So yeah, it's definitely been nice to like have some community there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you really understand that, you know, especially as you grow older, you know, you desperately need anchors. Like you need gentle reminders or rough reminders, you know, depending on the type of person that you are, that, you know, the Catholic community is out there, right? And you, more than most people, probably understand that, just because, you know, you're on ships and you don't get that communal feeling that a lot of other people do on a regular basis. And so, like, you have to hold on to it a little bit tighter. Is that true, am I right?
Yeah, actually, like, I was kind of surprised this time because I had just gone to the Holy Land. Like, my faith, it was just on fire. And so I was out there, like, praying the rosary every day, you know, praying all the time, and just being in, like, complete wonder at just everything. And then I was so excited to come home. It was, I was, like, really trying to get home for Christmas, but I didn't know if I would be able to. And I did make it home for Christmas, so I was really happy. But then just the hustle and bustle of everything just, like, kind of, like, swept everything away. And I was like, wow, I'm not praying the rosary, like, even during the week at all. Like, and so it was kind of, like, it just kind of woke me up to, like, when I don't have someone pushing me, I'm, like, really pushing myself. But then, you know, I go to church with my family on Sunday. But I kind of expected, while I was at sea, I was like, oh, I can't wait to go back to Mass. And I thought I would go, like, every day. And then I'm sleeping in instead, you know? So, yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what you would expect, I think. But I guess it kind of makes sense when you think about it as, like,
right,
there's no one pushing me, so I have to, like, do it myself, you know? And because I'm missing so much, I have to put in more effort, you know?
Yeah.
And that was one thing that was crazy when I was just at sea the last time was, like, people say, like, their soul is yearning for the Lord, you know? And I feel like I've heard people say, like, maybe Protestants say it more. And I didn't know that I ever, like, knew that feeling before. And then when I was on my ship, like, I felt, and I knew that was what I was feeling. Like, I felt this, it wasn't exactly loneliness, but it was, like, this empty feeling where, like, I'm unsatisfied. But I was really happy. Like, I was really happy with my job and, like, with my crew and everything. But I just knew, like, something is missing. And when I figured out, I was like, oh, it's like I'm not receiving the Eucharist at all. I haven't received the Eucharist in so long. Like, my soul is thirsting for the Lord. And that was just, once I realized what it was, I was like, wow, no wonder Protestants know what this feels like. They are unsatisfied. And so, I don't know. I just thought that was crazy.
That's a great deep thought.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't know what they're looking for something constantly.
And they don't know what they're missing. Like, they have no idea.
Literally no idea. That's why they dive so deep into their Bible.
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that they have. And, like, yeah, that's crazy.
And, like, that's a good, like, it's a good thing to dive so deep in your Bible, but, like, there's still that missing piece, I think. Yeah, and I also think that could also be, after the Holy Land, I had, like, this whole new appreciation for the Eucharist, too. Which was kind of, like, I could go off on a tangent for
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it. Do it.
So, when we went to the synagogue where Jesus preached John 6, the tour guide was, like, going pretty deeply into this. And he had a take on it that I hadn't heard before. Like, there's lots of arguments for, like, why we know that we're supposed to eat his body and it's not a symbol. But when we were there, so if you think about when you are in middle school and you, like, read a speech, and you read, like, a Martin Luther King Jr. speech, you know, and then at the end of class, maybe the teacher lets you listen to it. And it's, like, kind of boring. You're like, all right, I just read this. I don't really understand. Like, now we're listening to it, and I still don't really understand. Whatever. But I think when you think about the Bible, you should consider this. Because you're reading it, and all these clues you're missing. You're missing the inflection of the voice. And then also, if you think about if you listen to a podcast versus if you watch a video of it, you're still missing some stuff. You're missing the body language. And then, like you said earlier about going somewhere with a group, you're missing the crowd reaction too.
Mm-hmm.
So our tour guide was talking about the crowd reaction and how important, like in John 6, the crowd reaction is like explicitly written there. And it's in there for a reason. And you should read that part as an important part of the speech. So it starts off with explaining that Jesus has all these multitudes following him because it was just after the multiplication of the loaves and fishes. Mm-hmm. So maybe some people are hungry, so they're following around, and they know that he's doing these miracles. So he has 3 groups of people with him, basically. The 12, the disciples that are often with him, and then the crowds. Mm-hmm. So like the 3 circles of people. And when he starts off talking about how he is the bread that came down from heaven, the first thing that happens is like the crowds are murmuring among themselves. Right. So these people are like, what does he mean, you know? And at first, like, maybe you could take it as a symbol. Maybe he's, you know, speaking as like a parable here. But then they're murmuring among themselves, and he doubles down. He's like, no, this is like my body, you know? Mm-hmm. And it makes it like more clear. He's not saying, no, I didn't mean that. Like, you guys are taking this out of context, you know? He's saying like, no, yes, this is what I'm saying. You're hearing me correctly. And then they leave. A lot of the crowds leave, and then they like are disputing then it says they dispute among themselves. So they're fighting now. They're like, how can he say this? You know, This is crazy. And then they leave, and he doesn't stop them. He doesn't say, no, calm down. Let me explain this one. They leave, and the 12 are left. And a lot of times in the Bible, like after the crowds leave, the 12 or like Peter will ask him what he meant, and he'll explain. Mm-hmm. But this time, Jesus just asks them, do you guys also want to leave? And they're like, no, you know, like, we believe in you. So I think that is the most important thing, is that Jesus didn't ever go back. He just kept going. He just kept saying, no, this is what I mean. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that this is flesh. This is my flesh for you to eat. Like, this is the bread. And without it, you have no eternal life. So,
we've said it time and time again. That was beautiful, by the way. It's just it's the perfect way of understanding it. Like, it's really good. We've said it time and time again, and it's not obviously originating from us, but you know, you need physical reminders for God's love for you, and the Eucharist is the perfect physical reminder, right? And like as you said it, like there's the visceral reaction of the crowd. That was a real physical reaction. What Jesus said were real physical words that had, you know, sound waves that had an effect. And yeah, like you said, he meant it quite literally, right? And physically, very like in every single possible sense that he possibly could have said it, he said it, right? And that's one thing that I think is so important and beautiful about the Catholic faith, is I think that we have a great understanding of that kind of like physical harmony that exists with God's truth. Yeah. Another great thing about the Holy Land too is like you're seeing like the physical representation of the stories that you read as a child, right?
Yes, and reading the Bible just got a million times easier. Just, you can picture everything so easily. Was it you that said you can't picture things?
Yeah, I can't picture it.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I'll explain it to people real quick. So, we looked it up one time. There's an actual name for it. But so, you know how most people like talk about their dreams and they talk about they did stuff and they can remember things. So I don't dream in any kind of color. It's mostly shapes, or I'm looking at I see people's feet. It doesn't make any sense. All right, Brian. So it doesn't make any sense. And then if you told me to like close my eyes and picture like just an elephant holding an apple, I know what it should look like, but I can't see anything. Like I can't picture it. I I know like, okay, I know what an elephant's supposed to look like. I can go like, all right, that's an elephant and that's an apple, but I can't put it together.
Bro, do you forget what I look like when you don't see me?
That's why I have to see you twice a week. Otherwise, dude, just like, where's Ben? But that's like for me, that's why I need like the physical. Like I can't listen to podcasts. I have to watch podcasts.
Okay.
Reading is really, really hard for me because I can't like people. I thought I was normal. Like I didn't. You think when you do something, you don't talk to someone else about it. Like you just think, oh, what I do is normal. So I didn't think that people could actually imagine things. I didn't think that existed. And so people are reading books. I'm reading books, and I'm like, oh yeah, this person does this, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I used to read 39 Clues, which was like my favorite book when I was younger. Yeah, because like it talked about history. I knew the history, so it was easier to me to imagine that because I knew the history behind what they're kind of supposed to be doing. But when I realized that I like try to get like bigger books and read more things, I just couldn't do it. But like so I was a paramedic. Going through that was so much easier because it was just tangible. I just able to
yeah.
But there's this so Gina DeFlippo, when she hears people's names, like a color appears. Like that, her imagination is so beautiful where she literally has like colors appear, and I'm like, I can't even spell your name in my head. Like I can't. Just nuts. So I probably should just go to the Holy Land. Crunch guys, whenever you go next, let me know. I'll jump on you guys.
Yeah, I think just reading the Bible, like, and being in the desert in the hottest part of the year, and seeing, when they cross the sea to the other side, or when they travel to this other place, and then like being out there for just a couple minutes and imagining them like crossing the desert all day, like not that much water. Even we had a hard time getting water. We would go to these restaurants and it's like all paid for already because we like, paid for it in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to get us to buy like beer. We're like, we really just want some water. Like, please, just water. And we had to like flag them down. And finally, like people started paying for beer just so they would bring another pitcher of water. Because we thought like they didn't want to like bring us water because we weren't purchasing anything. So like buy it and leave it on the table. Like it's lunchtime and it's hot outside. So yeah, it was, and like there's not really a lot of fresh water to be found. So just imagining back to that time period and how they would have to carry it all with them if they're traveling somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they just needed less water back then.
Yeah, we evolved. No, it's nuts. Absolutely crazy what they were able to do back in the day. Like, it's crazy. But I thought you mentioned the River Jordan when you like was messaging you about like getting on the podcast. I definitely looked at your like Instagram a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so like you got to renew like your baptism in the River Jordan.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was like a hot tub. It was so hot. We get in we like walk in one at a time, and the priest would like dunk us 3 times. So we all like renewed our baptismal promises beforehand, like as a group, and then we would each go in and he would do it. So yeah, it was pretty grimy.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was kind of gross.
The water was like so
It
bad.
was like
I
the
mean, if
same
it's
color as
hot-
the ground.
Oh, that's gross. But
You
cool.
couldn't see your hand.
Yeah. Was that one of the last things you did that day? I hope.
Yeah, then actually no. But we went to the Dead Sea after that. So it was like we were just in our swimsuits that day.
Yeah,
Kinda
so
thing.
it's some mud to salt.
Yeah.
Did you go in the Dead Sea too?
Yeah.
Because I've heard crazy stories about how you can literally just, like, it's so much easier to float just because of the amount of salt that's
you
in it.
can't not float.
Yeah.
The other thing our tour guide kept bringing up was how important geography is, and like God created everything, including geography. So he would talk about the geography of things, and one thing he mentioned was the Dead Sea is the lowest place on Earth, and you can't drown there because it's like I guess you could if you really tried, but like
Don't try. Don't try.
Face down.
basically he was saying, even at like the lowest you'll ever go in life, God won't let you drown. So because it's so salty, like you can't, there's like these really strict rules. You can't be face down. Like you can't swim
Okay.
like face down because it's dangerous, because if your face goes underwater, then like you won't flip over. And if you like get it in your mouth, you're done for. Get it in your eyeballs, you're done for.
Ugh.
Only imagine. Like the ocean itself sucks when you get it in your mouth.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. Some like ended up in my mouth somehow, like just probably from being on my hand or whatever.
Right.
It's like it was terrible. It was the worst thing ever, and it was just the smallest amount. I did not get a mouthful of the Dead Sea. It was just like the tiniest drop, and I was like, oh, how did that get there? Yeah, but you like try and walk, and you just like bob up, and you like fall over. You can't walk.
It's like a toddler in the water.
That's crazy. The amount of salt that it takes for that is like nuts. I just can't even imagine. We have to go there now.
Dude, we have to.
Yeah. Should we do a pilgrimage? Yeah.
See, he's learning sign language. We understood him that time.
Yeah.
He didn't say a word.
I'm down to do a pilgrimage. I feel like I haven't left the country. I have literally not left the country since COVID.
I went to Jamaica. That was cool, but it's like very different. It's not the Catholic at all. Well, it's Christian-ish.
Yeah.
But it's just a completely different lifestyle out there. But like I almost went to World Youth Day, but when we moved that same year, so there's so much going on. I just against it because I would have to like we like moved here, then I had like a couple weeks go back, and it just didn't make sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Diocese of Cleveland, or at least Father Bojic and Father Simone, are doing a pilgrimage to Poland.
Ooh,
yeah, that would be a fun crew. Have you gone to Mass of St. Sebastian's before?
No.
Okay, so we have a Polish priest, Father Bojic. He's an amazing guy, super funny, but you really can't understand.
Can't understand a word he says.
He's very Polish.
Extremely well spoken now. Like they give out paper of his homily so you can read it as he speaks.
Okay.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh wait, I think he said this word.
Yeah. I was actually want to follow around. Like,
yeah.
like, you're like sometimes it goes off book.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit overtakes him.
Yeah.
And he does other things. But then it's also with Father Anthony Simone, he is an amazing human being. He's
beautiful guy.
Like I think I have a picture of him somewhere in my house. Like I love that guy. He's out over in like two parishes in East Cleveland, but that would be such a funny trip because Father Anthony talks a lot and Father Bojic doesn't.
Almost not at all.
Yeah, he's just very like just together, and Father Anthony's like he's still the kid. He's just really, really happy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
It would be a really interesting dynamic.
Oh, dude, I would just want to watch them go out to eat and just see how they interact. Like that's all I need.
It'd be Father Simone just talking the whole time. Poland is an incredible place if you ever get the opportunity to go. Krakow, one of the best cities in Europe I've ever been to. Yeah. It's incredible. It's such a beautiful city.
I have cousins in either Warsaw or Krakow. They're not really like my cousins. They're like my great aunt's husband's nieces and stuff that live out there. And they offered me, hey, you can go stay there. I'm like, yeah, but then I have to like pay for a trip there, and it's a lot. It's like expensive. So I almost went to like Israel before COVID. I think maybe it was like 2019.
COVID screwed everything.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah,
because so my mom did like the 23andMe thing.
Oh yeah.
And found out like she's like, well, she knew she was Jewish, but she's like really Jewish.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so like enough Jewish that like made me a high enough percentage to get like a free trip to Israel to go like see my homeland.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, sick. Like, let's go. And it just never happened. I don't know if I can take it anymore because there's like a certain age kind of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, it wouldn't have been like around Christ, but still would have been like, I'm still there. You know?
Yeah. It was surprising because it's not really that Christian of a nation. It's mostly like Muslim and Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly run by like Muslims, but then most of the tourists are like Jewish pilgrims. So they're like going on their, I don't know what the journey is called they have to do when they're a certain age, but surprisingly low numbers of Christians. But the other thing was that they always talk about the Christian, Jewish, and Muslim population, but like when they say Christian, it's Catholic. It's not. There's not really any other like sects of Christianity there. It's just Catholic.
That's really interesting to me.
Because I was talking to Michael on the way back from the talk with Father Gregory, and I'm trying to be really conscious of saying like I'm Christian, like because Catholics are Christian, but especially in America, it's completely almost two different religions. I'm Catholic or I'm Christian.
Yeah.
And we need to marry those two back because we are Catholic or we're Christians. We're Catholics. Like that's what we are. But it's two completely different things. We need to get that back.
Yeah, it's really sad. This actually makes me so sad.
It's it does. It's sad. It really is.
Yeah. So many, I just have so much more emotion since going to the Holy Land. And just actually, I don't know, my world has just expanded so much. Like my heart has expanded, just my emotions. But I like actually cry about people who aren't Catholic. I'm like really sad for them. And people who don't know Christ at all, of course. But like, I'm like, it's so sad that people aren't Catholic or that Catholic people don't know what they believe. It's also really sad.
Yeah. It's really easy. I think cradle Catholics are just kind of just take for granted kind of what they are.
Yeah.
I'm just Catholic. That's another big reason why we started like this podcast and why we've been choosing guests who have that Catholic background who also want to share their faith to show people. Like we had a couple of converts on and they talked about how they didn't know what a real Catholic was.
Yeah.
They heard Catholics, they think of like the older population who are just going to yell at you and just kneel, stand, yell. Like that's all they thought Catholics were. It's like we're so much more than that.
Yeah.
Especially when you go on pilgrimage with people or you get to see a Catholic community and you see people like Franciscan and Ave Maria. Like it's beautiful. These people are amazing. There's so much love for Christ. And that's what we're just trying to, if one person sees like something that we did and it just something turns in their heart, they feel a tug and it's like, then we've done our job. That's all I look for. It's just if we get one person just to think, not even convert, just to think about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done something.
Yeah. I remember, so I used to go to like a non-denominational youth group when I was in high school with my friend. Just because I had more friends there kind of, and it was really well structured and stuff like that. But I did learn a lot from that. And I remember my best friend's mom was one of like the group leaders for the girls. And she said, you never know like where you're gonna, like how far you're gonna bring someone. And it's not, it's like not your job to know that. Like you might move someone 1 inch towards Jesus and then they might stay there for like 10 years and then they meet somebody else somewhere that moves them 4 more inches and like they're getting a little bit closer, but you like started them or you got them moving again. And it's like that's the thing is like you're not gonna know. In most instances you're not gonna be like, oh, this person converted because of something that I said to them. That's not how it works in most of the time. But just like keeping that in mind, or even when it comes to like people who are Catholic who might be like away from their faith or go to Sunday Mass but haven't been to confession in, way too long or, whatever the case may be, just like bring them like one tiny baby step closer is better than doing nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's as easy as just showing them just joy, just being joyful, being like asking how their day was and just being open about what you're doing. So it's like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I did this. I prayed the rosary. I went to church. Like, and that also means that we need to be living out our life the correct way. It means we need to be going to masses as many times as we can, especially on Sunday, praying the rosary as often as possible, praying throughout the day, so that when you go to share your love and your life with somebody, that you can say like, yeah, I did this, and there's no shame in that. Like, you don't want to be boastful. Like there's a viral thing on TikTok or Instagram, wherever it was, and this guy's like, if you're talking to someone and within the first 10 minutes they know you're Catholic, you need to figure out how to talk. You're talking wrong. Like, are you kidding me? They should know who you are. Like you were Catholic. It's a big part of your identity.
Yeah.
You can't hide it. You're supposed to be unapologetically Catholic. So it makes you you. It's how you structure your life, how you think, and it's beautiful. Don't be ashamed of it. Show the world.
Yeah. And I also think along with that of like just showing people joy, telling them what you're doing, like being able to say, like, I'll keep you in my prayers or something. Like I met this Uber driver. She was like driving me when I was in Norfolk, and she was telling me about her crazy, crazy life. And it was very obvious that she was not religious. And just like when I was getting out of the car, I was like, can I like know your name so I can pray for you? And she was like, oh, I appreciate that so much. Like she was so kind about it. And like maybe that, did something, because she said something about how her wife's family was like Lutheran, I think, and like then they all ended up really far away from faith and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So she like there was some amount of religion somewhere in her life, you know. So it meant something to her. Like, she knew that me praying for her was like something really nice. You know what I mean? Like it made an impact on her in some way. But just being able to do that, I think, is really important for like strangers.
Yeah, like we
Or it
said.
could be, and maybe 5 times out of or maybe 9 times out of 10 it doesn't do anything. But then the one time, you know.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you literally, every opportunity is the best opportunity given the right set of chances, right? So, like, you just have to be the constant physical reminder of God's love. Because otherwise, there's no point for us to really exist, right? Like, we're physical representations of God's love to some extent, right? Like, He made us because He loved us, and He gave us physical bodies because He loved us physically, right? Like, there are certain things that go into play there. Like, you just have to constantly, like, we can only live physically right now. So why not live physically joyful or, physically happy? Just, you have to constantly be showing people love because they need it,
100%. And there's another thing that's been weighing on my soul for a while is, so a lot of people use God's name in vain just all the time. They say Jesus this, oh my, whatever. And it's just a normal language in just the everyday, like just life. It's normal.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be normal. You don't do that in Islam. You'd just be persecuted for it, you yelled at. Why aren't we standing up for our God in the everyday world? It's uncomfortable. It's not easy when someone just says that and you have to be like, don't talk about my God that way. Like, it's like you have to do it not in a super confrontational way, but just show it like you love God, and you can't be doing that. And that's something that Catholics and Christians need to be doing a little bit more, is being conscious of when you do it.
Yeah.
So that you can get it out of your vocabulary, your language, and then show the world by your example, and just kind of stopping it when you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we just need to be doing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's something that seems really small, but I think is really important. My parents were really strict on this growing up, so I think I was lucky, there, because I that would never come out of my mouth. And even like singing songs in the car, if it says like OMG,
right.
no, you have to say gosh.
Yeah.
Or say gosh. But it like hurts my ears to hear people like saying that, like just throwing it around willy-nilly. And like I dated a guy and he said it all the time. I'm like, can you just please try and say gosh, please,
Yeah.
just around me, like,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really important. And, yeah, if you are able to do it in a way that's like, this is my like, I take my religion seriously, and it, it really bothers me if you could try not to say,
Yeah.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just lead by example.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah. How does that one song go? They'll know that we are Christians by our love.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's the song that everyone sings, but no one lives by.
No, which is 100% because it's also really painful. We're not getting some crazy fun stuff here. People will have the label Christian all the time, and so the whatever podcast, I don't like talking about them, but they're very, very popular. They're just out there. They have a lot of people who do adult content on there, and they're always talking about how they're Christian. They're doing stuff that's just so horribly not Christian. And as Christians, we need to, what you said, show we're Christians by our love, by our example. And we need to look inward. How can we be better so we can help the world in that way? Because if you're going out and telling somebody, like, hey, you're bad, you're doing stuff horribly, and then they can look at you and be like, well, you're doing this too. It's like, it just completely kills all your arguments. So we need to look inward, fix ourselves, and go outward, and kind of help the world in that way. And something also, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things to talk about. This is cool. So people look at Islam as super reverent, which they are. And there's a lot of men converting to that because of that, that gives you a structure. And
Yeah.
Even the biggest example is Andrew Tate, right? And I mentioned this to my mom. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can totally understand what he's saying. Like, yeah, they're praying 5 times a day, doing all this stuff. And she goes, you're supposed to be doing that. I'm like, what do you mean? You have you have the morning, The Office.
Oh, yeah.
You have at 3 o'clock supposed to be playing. You have the Angelus at 12, 3 and 6, I think. Or I need to be doing this better. But then the Rosary every day. Like, we should be praying 5, 6, 7 times a day just on a like that's how priests pray.
Right.
But the lady just kind of don't do it anymore.
Well, you're also not told about it.
No, you're not.
There's a lot of issues of that kind of surround the whole thing. I mean, it's really a cultural thing, but yeah, I mean, I know what you mean.
It starts now. It starts here. Like we're having this conversation. It's just to be seen by a handful of people at Beni Vidi Vici, and there's things that we need to be praying with each other more. I mean, we start the meetings now with a rosary walk in the cold. Sometimes it's raining, and it's not easy, but it builds camaraderie. But we're also praying the rosary. We're doing something that we need to be doing and showing the world that's what we're doing. That's what we're meant to. Catholics need to get back to our roots, what we're supposed to be doing, praying throughout the day. And you know how much easier it is like not to sin and avoid temptation when you're constantly praying with God.
Yeah.
Like I find when I have the hardest times, it's because I either haven't gone to church and like it's like Friday, so it's been a little while since Sunday, didn't pray today, and then it's like the devil's like, bet he's weak, let's go. It's like if you're praying every single day and throughout the day, he doesn't have a chance to kind of sneak in there, get in your mind, and tempt you.
Yeah, that's very true. That's another thing I love about being Catholic is like there are so many opportunities to like change something. So like obvious opportunities. So like Lent, Lent, you give something up, you add something in, and then like Advent is just like another Lent for me. I'm like, okay, doing this, whatever. So, and then, you have the normal one, like your New Year's resolution. Yeah. So you just have built in 3 times to just like change something about your life. And I mean, you could take every Monday as an opportunity for that. But like Lent and Advent are really big, like times for it to be a game changer. You're like, you got to plan this out. You got to.
Or going on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Good hard reset right there.
Yeah.
But we had Ryan Arto on. He talks about like Damascus, and that's like their summer camp. So it's like that time for those kids to get that reset a little bit. And that's what camps are really nice. That's what the Catholic Family Land was like for our family. It was a nice, calming time just being around Catholic. We prayed all throughout the day. We played sports, community. It's just what you need. It's a dream. You didn't want to leave. I mean, you kind of did because everyone was really smelly at the end of the week because the showers were a little bit mid, and there's like not a lot of AC. You're outside all days. But it's having that reset like you mentioned. And so this is also, Rocco, I'm doing Exodus 90, and so the joke is like you're doing Exodus 90, they'll tell you. So, but it's so it starts the like New Year's, bam, first day. That's when it starts.
This year,
yeah. And so the 90 days until like Lent's over, and it's essentially just a hard reset. Like you heard of 75 hard.
Yeah.
It's like essentially 75 hard for Catholics.
Right. I think my brother's doing Exodus 90. He told me some of the things that he has to do.
Yeah.
Cold showers.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yep.
That's
help. What they all talk about.
Yeah, they do help when you have to go like record a podcast after you've been working all day and you're a little bit like down.
It'll wake you up.
Oh yeah. And then Ryan challenged us this week to not do anything extra to make the shower easier. So I'll expand on that. We found that it's easier to take a cold shower if you fight the shower.
Oh yeah, I heard you saying this.
Yeah. So we can't do that this week. So it's just you in the cold water and your mind and just sacrifice. And it is rough, but hopefully rewarding after this. We'll find out in 2 weeks and I'm done with the cold shower thing because I will get back.
Like,
I will get back to boxing in the shower because like I feel like after I'm like I feel like I got box now. Like I'm throwing some sick combinations. We only had 2 people fall so far in our group.
That you know of.
Yeah, that mentioned it. Yeah, because we meet every week, and we talk about like our week, how's it going, our check-ins, and then one guy's like, "Yeah, I fell, I hurt my hip." We're like, "Sorry, bro."
Oh, I think you meant they fell out of Exodus.
No, they fell in the shower.
Wait, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because when you box, you're supposed to pivot. He pivoted, so it's a little slippery.
I mean, we're not gonna get
gotta get too into the showering part, but I think the biggest thing is that as Catholics, as Christians, we need to be living out our life. We need to be living on a religion, not just using it as a label. And you can see going further into like society, people are always wearing crosses. It's like now it's just a cool symbol. It's like it's just nice.
Mm-hmm.
It means nothing to most people, and it's just being mocked constantly. I think there's I think Estelle said it. She goes, Stella and Simon said it, about if you look who's persecuted most, it's like, okay, it's like Christians, and then it's like, what's the Catholics? And they're constantly persecuting the Catholic Church for like some things are bad they do, but like normal things. And they're constantly taking the cross and just making it bad. I mean, look what what's his face just did, Lil Nas X in that video. That one Sabrina Carpenter in that church.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Christian church.
Oh,
it was a Catholic
Very obviously, yeah.
church.
Yeah.
It's obvious what they're trying to do, who's trying to do it if you have that lens to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But it just is another news story, another thing that happens.
Yeah. And I think along with like living out your faith and, you know, being a good representation, to also not be afraid to like because we go to confession to like confess our sins, obviously. But I think that, you know, since like Protestants don't go to confession, maybe they talk about it more with like their friends or whatever to help hold them accountable. And I think that that's something that maybe we're missing a little bit. Probably not. You know, I'm sure people have like accountability and stuff. But I remember this time when I was a freshman in college, and there was this. I don't like remember the whole encounter, but I was in like the dining hall, like in line to get food, and there was this guy who was super active at Mass. Like I think he would be like an extraordinary minister, or maybe he read at Mass sometimes. And I remember somebody saying like, "Oh, I haven't seen you at Mass," and he was like, "Oh," like just announced it. Was like, "Oh man, I gotta go to confession. I'm in a state of mortal sin. I can't receive communion." And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Whoa!" But like, I think about it all the time, and I'm like, he just said that, and like, there's so many people who probably were in the same situation and just are still receiving communion, like, don't realize it's a big deal, or haven't gone to Mass, but like, maybe that could have been, you know, something for that, like, other people to hear and be like, "Oh, it's not just me. I'm not like everyone sins," you know. And just, I think it was Simon said this on the podcast about like, no matter how far away you've run, like all you have to do is turn around. You don't have to get back to where you were before. If you used to, you know, go to adoration once a week or, you know, pray the rosary every day and you've fallen out of it, you don't have to get back to that point. It doesn't take this great act of faith to like get back to Jesus. He's ready to hug you as soon as you turn back around. And like, that's all you have to do. Like, just take one step, and he's there. Mm-hmm. And this was something, when we were in the Holy Land, we went to Jericho. And it was the hottest day. Jericho's down. It's the lowest city in the world. So you have to like go down to it. And then to get to Jerusalem is like an ascent. So the Psalms of Ascent are what the Jewish people would pray when they're on their way to Jerusalem. But when we were in Jericho, that's where Zacchaeus is from.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all know the story of Zacchaeus. But his act of faith was that he climbed a tree. He just wanted to see Jesus. And like, we can all kind of take a lesson there, is that all he did was climb a tree. He was like, "I want to see Jesus. That's it." And Jesus met him there and was like, "All right, I'm going to your house," you know? And so just taking like a tiny step in the right direction is like all Jesus needs to like just take you in.
100%. And so at the talk with Father Gregory Pine, he talked about how if you are like struggling with prayer, like you're ready to go do a holy hour, you go to adoration, or you go to just pray at your house, and you find that it's like frustrating, you're like distracted, you don't really know what's going on, it's just rough, and you have all this list of everything you want to do, and if you feel like you don't do that, you like didn't pray, you're not going to get to heaven or something like that. It's like, no, it's taking that step to God, like you mentioned, just being there and trying.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and that having that intention behind it is all God needs. We're there. We're doing our best. I think he made a joke like, even if you went to adoration for 55 years and just fell asleep in the spirit, like you would get to heaven. He goes, "I'm 35 years in." Like,
yeah, I've heard that before too, about like when you fall asleep in church or you fall asleep in adoration, and it's like you wake up and you feel terrible. You're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell asleep." And then it's like, no, like God uses dreams all the time. You know, it's okay. Like, you can rest in his peace too. That's okay.
Yeah.
If you're tired and that's what you need, he'll give you rest.
Yeah, like, so, like, if you, a lot of people fall asleep, like, praying the rosary, and my friend's mom would always say that, like, if you fell asleep, like, the angels would finish it for you. And there's also a really cool story. I believe it was Ted Bundy. He was going through, like, he was going through, like, the little dorms or the little house or apartments that he was going through, and he, like, killed 2 girls and was going to the third girl's room. And he walked in and was immediately thrown out of the room. Just immediately thrown out. And, like, a priest came there to talk to the girl, like, she's, like, her room was. And she just wouldn't talk to anybody, just wanted to talk to the priest, and, like, told the priest, like, she was, like praying a rosary. Like, she told her mom, he promised her mom when she went to college that every night she'd pray a rosary.
Oh, wow.
And later, Ted Bundy, I called for a priest, and that same priest went, and Ted asked him, like, what happened that night? And the priest said, Mary was there.
Or Ted Bundy said that?
Yeah, no, the priest said that to Ted Bundy.
wow.
Mary was there. That's why you were thrown out of the room.
Huh.
Like,
That gave me chills.
yeah, like, it's real.
Yeah.
It's, you have that true intention behind it. God knows. He knows your soul. He knows your mind. If you're just there to look cool, like, oh, I'm at adoration again, everyone can see me, no, it means nothing. If you're going there and you open your heart to God and say, God, use me. If you can't, like, just pray, you feel like you're not having conversation, you don't hear God. Like, I don't hear God when I pray.
Mm-hmm.
But you just think, I'm here. Use me for whatever you need. Like, I had a conversation with my buddy, and we were kind of talking about that. And he goes, because we're trying to do a lot of things, like, with the Catholic community, especially Catholic media. And he goes, just give it all to God. Whatever you want is not going to happen. It's just whatever God wants. And he goes, say, you pray like that? I go, no, I don't. So I went to adoration that day. It happened to me that day. And so I'm a Catholic. I used to pray like this, right? And I'm like, I just had some feeling, like, to open my hands, like a more, like, just charismatic way. I don't know. But I just opened my hands and I just said, like God, use me. Immediately start bawling my eyes out. Like, just immediately. It just, I don't know why. I was like in the confession line. So there's people around me. I'm just crying like a baby. And it's just that little, just that, it's all you need. It's all God needs, that little bit, and it'll just overfill you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So I still have a lot to say today. I don't know what it is. Dude,
No, it's great.
Coffee's hitting today. The Holy Spirit's working today.
Oh, it's not the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. The coffee's the physical cause, but there's a spiritual cause too.
Yeah. God is good. All glory to Him.
Mm-hmm.
But so as you're here, and so you have a little bit of time before you kind of go off again. Do you plan on being on the ship like that, like a career, your whole career, or do you have other aspirations?
I'm not sure at this time. So I have to do it for 5 years.
Okay.
For the contract.
Yeah, because, like, the Merchant Marine Academy is, like, the same as Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, etc. Where you have, like, you go to school for free. It's, like, paid for by the government, and you have a commitment afterwards to, like, serve your country. So I have to do it for 5 years, and so I'm just, I'm kind of in, like, a nice place right now where I'm not like, oh no, I don't know what I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to be doing for this 5 years. I know what I'm doing, And then after that, I just think, God will tell me what to do. Maybe at that point I'm, like, starting to settle down, ready to have a family. Maybe not. Maybe I'll do it a few more years, like, save up money for when I do have a family, or, maybe God will send me to do something else. So I don't know. I don't think, it's like one of those when man plans, God laughs type situations.
Yeah.
Like, I have 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
How many years do you have left?
I'm still in my first year.
Okay, so you have, like,
So 4.5.
yeah, 4.5. Okay, which is cool. I mean, it is a little bit, like, nice to just know what you'll be doing for the next couple of years, and, like,
there's a little bit of security.
Yeah, save some money. Don't have any school debt, which is
Right.
nice. So you can come into, like, that next stage, whatever it may be, debt free. I mean, getting married is nice to be debt free, and then, like, if people enter the convent, like, you have to be debt free as well. So, like, there's debt free is good. Dave Ramsey, yeah, follow him. But that's beautiful. I'm excited for you. And So you go out again, you come back sometime like this summer, midsummer?
Yeah, my brother's getting married in July, so I got to be back for July.
Yeah.
Congrats to him.
Yeah, that's...
So
Marriage is pretty nice.
yeah, for the most part, like it can kind of like extend past. Like you can either get off a little early, or kind of depends on how the just routing falls and stuff. If you get delayed and stuff like that, you can be on for longer. If you don't have like a wedding to go home to, then you can just kind of stay on the ship and then have a longer vacation.
Oh.
So, you know, it all like equals out.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the most stressful period right now because I have to get home for the wedding.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is like the most stressed I'll be in like trying to find a job fast. Like, come on, ships. Come back to the U.S. so I can get on.
Order more cars, guys, so we can get her back out, you know?
Yeah.
Some Volkswagens.
We actually bring... Everyone's always really saddened to hear this, so I'm going to make you all sad.
Oh, beautiful.
Is it Toyota?
Chevys.
Oh.
They bring Chevy.
Yeah, from Korea.
Yep.
All the cars we bring are from Korea to the U.S. We don't give them any. We don't make anything, really.
That is.
So yeah, we bring like Kias, Hyundai, however you say that.
Dude, my mechanic calls them Hyundais. He's white. Like, he's Hyundai. Dude, it's fantastic.
I used to have a
That might be the
Hyundai.
right way to
Yeah.
say it, I don't know.
Chris.
Yeah. It's fun to say. Say about Hyundai Elantra. But yeah, it is sad. We could get into the American like geopolitics and get all this up, but that's for another time. But yeah,
Next episode.
Next time. But so as we wrap up, this has been absolutely amazing. I hope that one person listens to this and we just kind of spark something in their mind. But we like our guests to leave a little call to action, a little final thought. Either it could be a call to action, it could just be like a final thought of something you just want to leave with them.
Yeah, I've been saving this part.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So, in the Our Father, when we say, "Your will be done," you should finish every prayer you pray with that. Even if I'm a big believer in fake it till you make it, if you don't exactly mean it the first times that you're praying, like every little tiny prayer that you pray, like, let me get on time to work today, Lord. But your will be done. Like, just add it in every single time. And then, like, at some point, the big things will start. You'll start thinking, like, I really want this. And you'll be asking God for it all the time, and then say like, "But your will be done." And then you kind of start thinking like, "But if like that's not His will, then I wonder what is." And you start like thinking about the other options and what God might be trying to use you for, and it's just like a whole new world. I don't know.
No, like,
I don't know. I think you just should always finish every prayer with that. Even like sometimes you'll feel bad about it. Like if someone's sick. You know, you'll be praying for them to get better, and you're like, but your will be done. And then you have to just accept that, like, God's will. Like, Jesus prayed this prayer. Jesus asked that the cup be passed from him so he wouldn't have to die on the cross. And he finished his prayer with, but your will be done. If Jesus can do that and, like, mean it when he's going to be crucified, you know, you can do it for, like, the little things and for the big things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Am I going to get the last pizza?
Yeah, it's like,
No, probably not. Thy will be done.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely beautiful, and that's something that a lot of people in today's society genuinely do need. They want to do their own will, but God's will be done wherever He takes you. That's what needs to happen. Did we just like clip that part? Did that just go off?
It just went off.
Okay. That's funny. It'll be fine. I'll edit it. It'll be awesome. But that's absolutely beautiful, and it's a message people definitely need to hear. And this has been Just Like You and Me. Anna, thank you so much, and enjoy your little ship time.
Thank you for having me.